Okay, since it got brought up, we'll take a look at some of the night vision stuff. I've set up two different cameras. I'll see if I can get those put together and see what we can get out of them. So I'm currently in my garage where I normally do some of the filming for the videos. As you can see, there's still some left up on the chalkboard from before. This is my pool table, and there's my camera, my regular camera. I will walk around and comically look at what I look like. Where's my camera? There it is. And so this is what we're dealing with. You'll probably see a bright light coming off of these. I assure you it's not seen by the eye. What I'm going to do now is come back over and turn off the light. Alright, so the other camera's probably gone completely dark. You can see this one, however, I'm still able to see with. And I'll head back over. This time I'm actually going to have to use these to see where I'm going. That is totally a toolbox. Laundry basket, extension cord. Wow, this is like a minefield. Okay. I'll come back down. You'll probably see a bit of light on the regular camera now, because what's going on here is these night vision goggles, binoculars, they've got a really bright infrared flashlight here. Cover it up. Alright, that's it covered up. And you can see I lose sight even with the night vision binoculars, except for there's something with the camera, but that's neither here nor there. If I uncover the flashlight, then I can see. Now, these night vision binoculars, they use just a regular silicon CCD, so it's basically a cheap digital camcorder, basically. So the same type of thing that shows up in cell phones and so forth. I'm going to reach over and grab this remote control. And so regular remote controls, you wouldn't necessarily see much of anything because they're in infrared. But you can see when I hit one of the buttons, it actually shines a bright light at me. And in fact, let me cover up the flashlight again. You can see this thing's almost a tiny flashlight in the infrared. And you'll notice that it's actually flashing, it's not just coming on and staying on, it's actually flashing like 3 quick flashes. That's the power button. Let's try one of the other buttons. It's probably happening too quickly for us to be able to see. But it'll flash basically a little code. Let me uncover that. Okay. It'll flash a little code that the receiver on the device picks up and understands, hey, 3 flashes means power. And I think I've got this. I'll point this back over there. On this one, you can even see the flashes in the background. So on the regular camera, on most regular cameras, they have a small, what's called IR filter put in. They actually have a small lens, effectively, that blocks everything that we're seeing right now, because it's something that's invisible. They don't want to throw things off with it. But these night vision binoculars are just one of those, and they've removed that filter. So even on a regular camera, if you're looking right at a very bright source for infrared, you can probably see that it's lighting up. But you won't be able to see, for instance, with this remote control, the light that it shines off elsewhere. Okay. So here's another video. I'm using high speed setting. I use a remote, I just hit the power button, and you see it flash twice. That's the power button. I'm going to hit another button for navigating the menu, and you'll see it flash 3 times. Devices pay attention to however many flashes there are, and that's the code. 2 means power, 3 means navigate the menus. Where you guys can see it.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is the front of the projector remote control, and I've got it focused in here. You can actually see in there we've got what look like on the left and right the little bulbs there, something that goes back into it, but you can definitely see part of the interior there. Now when you look at this with your eyes, you don't see that at all. It's just all black. And so that is an IR transparent material that is opaque in the optical.
Okay, you ready? Yeah. Okay. 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 Okay
Okay, so right now we're looking at a piece of glass that has some paper underneath it. You can see through the glass pretty easily. If I look directly at it, the spotlight on the front of this and the light above me is kind of blocking it, but we can see through it pretty easily. Now I'm going to reach over and turn out the lights so we can see the clear glass. And we can see now it goes almost black. If I get directly over it, then I can start seeing through it. But you can see that it is much more resistant to infrared light than the visible light. I'll turn the light back on. We can see through it. We can see the paper underneath. But in the infrared, it is much closer to opaque.
Now what we just saw gave us an example in infrared of materials that at one wavelength are transparent, like the front of remote controls. Often we can't see through them, they just look like they're black plastic. But if we could look at them like we did with the night vision binoculars with infrared light, they're actually transparent to infrared light. They let the infrared go right through it. They're almost like glass, so to speak. And then we also saw the counter to that, where we saw the thermal glass, which is something that we use with microscopes to help cut down on the amount of infrared light coming through. They're pretty much transparent in the visible, so we can see through them, but they're much more opaque, or close to opaque, in the infrared. It helps cut down on how much infrared comes in. Now, infrared radiation is very similar to light, and it's part of the electromagnetic spectrum, just like things like X-rays and radio waves and microwaves, which your cell phones use. They're in the microwave range, believe it or not. And so this also gives us an idea of how each of these things work, like radio waves and microwaves that cell phones use. They're not blocked by walls. We can use these things inside. It goes right through a wall. I can turn on the radio and it picks up the signal even though it's not outside where it can see it. Well, that's because in the radio wavelength, if we had binoculars like these that could see in that wavelength, then the walls that make up our buildings would actually they would look like glass. They're completely transparent. They let the radio waves go right through. Now, the same thing happens on another side of the electromagnetic spectrum with X-rays. X-rays are a much smaller wave, and they actually go through a lot of materials, like your skin, and allow you to see things that they're not able to look through, like your bones. And so it's a lot of the same materials, it's just interesting aspects that make some of them where they can look through, straight through materials, like they're not even there, makes it treat them like they're glass, or they're blocked by it when other parts of the electromagnetic spectrum are not.
Okay, so automatic doors. We can see a very bright light there. And that's actually in the infrared. It's using that to detect. Probably next to it is the detector. That dark patch there, probably the detector.
I'll try and stop confusing their door. So that's the same sensor. There's a shiny part right up here. And that's where it would be light.
Okay, so I've got a book here. Let's see. Not really in focus. Back in. There we go. So we're going to be looking at this guy here, which is a little diagram. I'm going to cover up the beacon on this. And this is looking through the magnifying glass, and we can see that we can make it much bigger. I'll set it down, so that's going to be pretty close to its original size. Bring it up. And you can see that even with light that we can't see, we can magnify. me blocking the beacon on the night vision goggles themselves.